Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Just as I finish a video discussing the Mantis and the Black Widow and quantum interdiction, the ship actually gets revealed for the coming soon thing. So let's talk about the reveal of the RSI Mantis, its mechanics, which are quantum enforcement, and what we think of the ship. The ship is straight to flyable in Alpha 3.7, with at least some of its implementation of its gameplay mechanics. It's a single-seater ship and is described as a sleek, broad, and angular craft. Hasn't got much in the way of weaponry. There's some pictures that we have of it now, which I will show on the screen. It is a quantum enforcement ship, which is basically the new name for quantum interdiction. The gameplay of quantum enforcement allows you to ensnare and dampen quantum travel using the quantum enforcement device. The mechanics are still very much a work in progress, but it's going to also have those mechanics in Alpha 3.7, it seems. The articles that I've read imply that the live build of 3.7 is sort of planned for October 10th, or at the very least, the sale of the ship is planning to be starting from October 10th, which is the game's Kickstarter anniversary, and typically where CitizenCon falls, but this year CitizenCon's on the 23rd of November. The Mantis is apparently 30 meters by 16 meters by 8 meters, so it's not a tiny ship, but it's not a big ship either. It's sort of like a small to medium size. The quantum snare is a large radius bubble where you basically pull players and NPCs out of quantum travel and then prevent them from going back into quantum travel. Dampening is a smaller area of effect, so this ship basically has two different major roles, or at least two different ways of using its quantum enforcement device. So the dampening is of a smaller area, around 2,000 meters, and basically you can turn that on immediately and effectively stop drives from spooling up in the first place. So you can use this much more like a scalpel. So when you're in a fleet, you don't have to pull them all out of quantum travel. You could wait until some ships have gone into quantum travel and then quickly turn this on when you're near a ship, stopping it from going into quantum travel itself, things like that. The quantum snare is much more like an EMP that sort of like has to be charged up. And then once you release that charge or create the sphere, anything within up to 20,000 meters based on how much power you've put onto it, I believe. Anything up to 20,000 meters away will be pulled out of quantum, both NPCs and players, and the device will then remain on. And this prevents players that are within that area that have been pulled out from being able to activate their quantum drives while that's activated. I'm assuming both friend and foe are affected by the device. We'll have to wait and see because it wasn't actually 100% stated. There were mentions of quantum markers and the ability for the Mantis to track ships, and it does appear that ships that get pulled out and caught are supposed to give notifications or markers to the Mantis and ships that are in the same party as the Mantis. So what we're getting in 3.7 might not show very clearly what ships have been pulled out, though, as they're still working on the UI for that, and we'll have to wait and see. There will be cool-looking red energy effects tied to these mechanics, though, to sort of like have a juxtaposition compared to the blueness that quantum travel has. Gameplay-wise, CIG hope that trade routes might be ambushed using this sort of gameplay in 3.7, and they could be used by both bounty hunters and pirates alike. It wasn't mentioned whether these ships are just going to be immediately used by NPCs to be able to pull us out, but I would assume they would be able to. They'd probably be replacing the old quantum interdiction system. Players will have to think about where they quantum travel from and to, potentially going longer routes if they're worried about a potential threat, or taking an escort. So escorts should be much more viable and sensible now. The Mantis is not intended to be used as a lone wolf ship, though. It works well in a group, and it's focused at pulling ships out of quantum travel and then keeping them there. You'll want some other ships with you, though, to help disable and loot the prey. Basically, the Mantis only comes with two small laser cannons by default, so I'm assuming size 2 weapons, probably, and some missiles, apparently. You could very easily pull a big ship or even an entire fleet of ships out with the Mantis. So not necessarily the best thing to do if you're a criminal and you've just grabbed a huge fleet out and you're like, well, this is not intended. I'm assuming the Mantis can't go into quantum itself when it's got that device activated as well. The quantum enforcement device is a massive power drain on the ship as well. Using it in any form will require a lot of power and generate a lot of heat. You are going to be a target. You may well have to turn other systems down or off as well, so lower power to your thrusters, armors and shields and that sort of stuff. They are going to continue to iterate on those mechanics. It may well be in the future that you might need multiple Mantis ships to pull out a very large ship out of sort of like Quantum, or they might even add more ships that are focused on quantum enforcement, potentially ones that are more focused on taking capital ships out of quantum travel, or maybe there's going to be ways of helping prevent quantum enforcement and being pulled out entirely. You won't be able to use these snares in green zones, they've said, at least in the short term. Obviously, they are going to be getting rid of the armistice zones and green zones eventually, but it will be interesting to see how they tie that feature with the lore system. The original idea for the Mantis apparently started on November 2018, and the concept started in earnest January 2019, so they've actually done quite a quick job of getting the gameplay in there and the ship done. It was also briefly mentioned that in the future, players might be able to detect other players quantum traveling, follow them somehow. You might be able to detect quantum interdiction devices or quantum enforcement devices via scanning, and you might even be able to further disguise your signature for your ship, and obviously stealth your ship up and stuff like that by lowering your signatures. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what they've got in store for those gameplay mechanics, because Star Citizen is very much an iterative process, and they're going to change and evolve these mechanics based on player feedback from 3.7 and how that mechanic is received. I've yet to find a price for the ship, though I expect it to be somewhere between $180 and $275 personally when it goes on sale. It is a focused use one-person ship, doesn't have a huge amount of weaponry or anything, it's just for quantum enforcement. I was expecting it to be on sale this week, but the media that I've read appears to suggest that it's going to go on sale on the 10th of October, straight to Flyable. But what do you think? Are you excited by the ship? Are you not excited by the ship? I'm hoping that it will be available in the game immediately to purchase or rent from the store in-game, but it's likely that they might wait a little bit before allowing it to be purchased in-game or rented in-game, just so they can make more money from the sale, would be my expectation, but I don't know for sure. We'll have to wait and see. It should also be in the Ivacardi's hands pretty soon, potentially this week, in fact, so we'll have to wait and see exactly how it's received, but I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any feedback or opinions or your thoughts, whatever, just leave them down below in the comments below. We've got an Anvil Carrot giveaway this month. Just make sure that you comment on any of my videos made during September to be in for a chance of winning that. This ship was donated by the organisation Ultra. More details of the giveaway and that organisation down below. I'm also shilling for Shadow. They provide a service so that you don't need to have your own gaming PC. You literally use the power of the internet to remote access one effectively, and then you can use your phone or trashier PC or whatever to connect to that, and then that can give you a great gaming experience. There's also NordVPN if you're looking for a VPN. I really love Nord. They're very, very inexpensive, and they give you a lot more power than a free VPN would when it comes to security and being anonymous. Use the code BoredGamer if you're interested in using any of those services. You'll get discounts. Also, just down below, there's links to help support the channel. If you want to be a Patreon, if you want to be a YouTube member, it all really helps. But sharing videos, feedback, all of that sort of jazz really helps me too. Thanks very much for the love, guys. You take care, and I'll see you in the verse.